Hey guys, it's Catherine and you're watching CUKpop Today, and today I'm going to be reviewing Yesung's Paper Umbrella album. So, I know it's been a long time, but I really love this album and I wanted to take the time to go over each song, especially since it's just a mini album, you know, it's not that long. So I really wanted to get into the lyrics and sort of get into the meaning. And the first song on this album is called Paper Umbrella. And this song is, I mean, right off the bat, you know, it's like a slower song. It's probably about a breakup, which it is. And it's about Yesung, or a man, breaking up with a love of theirs and then sort of regretting it. So this is after the breakup and she's moved on and she's doing her thing, and he comes in sort of all of a sudden like, I've made this mistake, and he's missing her and he can't eat, he can't sleep, he's just constantly thinking about her. He's even waiting for her in the rain just with nothing but his clothes and an umbrella, and he's just like totally just heartbroken. Like, he feels like he made a mistake. In the song he even says you know, like, I'm sorry, basically like this relationship was so bad, and also, I'm so sorry that this breakup is so bad. Like, I can't even do this breakup justice. So, like, he just feels really terrible about what he was like in the relationship, as well as how he treated her and how he didn't pay enough attention to her. And now he's sort of just regretting all of that. He even calls her back, and when he does, he says, "Come, fall between my torn heaven." Like, gorgeous. I love that line. And he's just saying like I'm in hell, you know, like this torn heaven is hell, and I can't live without you, and I can't stand doing this, you know, alone, and I need you. Also, the song is very intimate in many ways. So at the beginning he's sort of whispering, you know, he's not just belting it out from the beginning of the song, like he's whispering it. It's almost just kind of a one-on-one conversation. You kind of have to like bring yourself closer to the song to really like understand or to hear him well. I like that they used strings in it. The strings make the song. Like, strings are always going to make a song better, but I feel like the song really revolves around the orchestra and like string instruments, as well as there is an acoustic guitar, and you don't hear it the whole way through, but at the end especially you hear the guitar. And to me, acoustic guitars make everything more, I don't know, more close, just more intimate, because like when I think of acoustic guitars, I think of someone sitting, you know, in a room full of people, and it's just the guitar player and the people. You know, it's not like this big, huge production, and while it gives off a lot of sound, it's something that you kind of have to be there for, like you have to just see it one-on-one. So just to me, it makes me think of a more intimate setting, more connected, close-knit setting. But I don't know, I also feel like this song, while he's mourning, it almost feels like she's sort of just gone. I mean, she is gone, but like gone for good. Like, it's very, very sad and almost a death kind of way, which maybe that's too serious for this song. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's kind of what I get from it. And if you watch the music video, which I didn't react to it, but if you watch the music video, just certain parts of the music video lead me to believe that this woman is not just gone, but she's like, she didn't just like, oh, I just went home, but like she passed away. She's no longer there. I don't know if that means literally death, or if maybe it means like she actually like moved away, like moved to a different city or a different country. I don't know. But this song is very, very sad. But I like it, and I think it's a strong song to open on. It doesn't give too much of Yesung's like talent away, which I don't think an opening song should ever be the best song, like, to be honest. Usually they're the title songs, but it's never the best song. So I think it was a strong opening song, but let's move on. The next song is called Hibernation, and this song is the complete opposite from Paper Umbrella. So Paper Umbrella is after the breakup. This is during the love fest. So they are in love. They are just completely, it's not even like that kind of puppy love, like when you first, fall in love and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to see them 24/7. I'm so excited to see them. Like, we need to be together all the time. It's sort of a more grown, like, we've been together for a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. We're very comfortable with one another. We know each other. We, understand each other. And this song is very soothing. This song got me through finals week. Like, it was so calming. I would just listen to this and it would just warmed my heart, but also just put me at ease. Like, it's very calming. And he's talking about being, like, sort of just staying in, like, just having a day where you don't do anything, you don't go out, you don't dress up, you just stay in bed, you just lay there with your significant other, and you just enjoy their presence. Like, I don't even feel like Yesung is even saying, like, oh, we need to talk to one another, we need to, do anything in bed. Like, he's just literally saying, let's just lay here and enjoy one another's breath. Like, just enjoy the presence and the company. He says, I want to keep dreaming with you. And then he also says, this happiness can't be traded for anything else. So he's just, like, so content with life, and he's so content with where he is right now. Like, you can really feel it. Not only, like, you can understand it through the lyrics, but you can feel it with his voice because it's just so soothing. And I know I'm not comparing or anything, but it just made me think briefly, especially with the electric guitar in the background, which such a nice touch. Like, we had the acoustic guitar in the first song, but now this is an electric guitar, and it's such a nice touch. And it made me think of a John Mayer song, like the way that John Mayer can sort of just take his voice down to a lower octave and just keep it there and just keep it calm and quiet and collected and just whew. Like, that's the same exact way this song made me feel, and Yesung really controls his voice so nicely. I love this song, and in such a weird way, it's really catchy. Like, you wouldn't feel like, oh, this is a catchy song, but I catch myself sometimes listening to it and then later, like, humming it or, just replaying it in my head. It's very catchy, which is interesting because usually slower songs you don't categorize them as catchy, but this is catchy and I love it, and it's one of my favorites on this album. The next song is called All But You, and this one, kind of, when I first heard this one, I wasn't that impressed by it. It's a song, he does fine. I like the instrumentation, but I really wasn't like, ooh, grabbed by it. And after reading the lyrics and like really looking over everything, I appreciate it a lot more now, especially because the subject matter is very different from what usually people talk about in K-pop, or like solo artists sing about. So this one, he opens with saying, like, to paraphrase, he says, like, I've seen the stars and they shine very brightly, I've touched the wind, basically saying, like, I've seen it all, I've had experiences, I've enjoyed it all, and yet the one thing I don't have is you. And it's not like a one thing I don't have is you because we broke up and I'm not with you anymore. It's almost like he's longing after this person that he has literally never had. Like, he's never been with them. He's never spent time with them because they're always avoiding him and they're always just kind of pushing him away, and they've never been interested. And so he says, again, he describes, like, he's sort of seen the world, and then he says, it is only you that is cold for me, and like saying that she is not going to come to him. He's the one that keeps going to her and keeps approaching her, but she's just kind of like, I'm good, and she's very cold towards him. And then, so like right when you're about to sort of get into the story of this and like the meat of this, it stops. Like, he stops singing. And it's this beautiful, like, intermission of music that starts playing, which, I mean, not that it's never been done before, but it just kind of took me by surprise, because, like, when I was reading the lyrics, I was getting into them, and I was like, all right, what happened next? Like, what'd you do next? You know, where'd this go? And then it just stopped, and, like, this beautiful instrumentation with an acoustic guitar, the, like, light drums, you can hear the cymbals, and oh my gosh, so gorgeous. And the keyboard is so faint, but it is there, and it just ties it all together. Like, it gives it this sort of folksy kind of bluegrass kind of feel to the song, and it's so pretty. And then he goes back and he says, like, he repeats the chorus, but then he says, "It is only you that means love to me." So really, he's experienced all these things in his life, and he's lived his life kind of to the full, and yet the only thing that's going to bring him any joy, any happiness, is her. Like, it's going to be her, and she is the only thing that means anything to him. And he finishes out the song by saying, like, he's seen the stars, he's seen the wind, but he doesn't want any of that. He just wants her. So after reading this, it was a definite, like, oh, like, there is a specific message here. Like, I just kind of took it for maybe, like, another breakup song, or, you know, something a lot of people sing about. But it was interesting that it was, like, almost not stalkerish, but just kind of a little, just like, needy. Like, he was like, I really want you, I need you, like, I love you, and she is just not having it. Like, she is not reciprocating. So, interesting subject matter, and it made me appreciate this song, like, a lot more. The fourth song is called Fly, and this song is my favorite song. So, this one, it was so interesting because listening to it, he has a happier tone in his voice. He's definitely upbeat, but it's not like a traditional upbeat kind of a pop song, like, and it's not exactly a ballad. Like, it's somewhere in between. And so I wasn't exactly sure what he was talking about, but I love the message of this, and it's so just unique the way he describes it. So this one, like, it's talking about him and another person sort of flying away together. And, you know, in my head, I imagined him, like, literally flying away together. But I feel like it means more of a feeling of flying away. Sort of like when you hear people say, like, when they're in love, or, you know, they're just very happy and blissful, like, they say, like, oh, I'm on cloud 9. You know, like, I feel like that's more of what he was trying to say here. And he describes the whole scene beautifully, like him and the significant other being back to back, them, you know, floating above the ground, sort of flying away together. He also talks about, like, he, you know, from now on, from this point on, he cares more about what's in front of him than himself. Like, what's in front of his arms and his face than what's, you know, been going on with himself for his whole life. Like, he actually cares about another human being, and he's happy about it. Like, you can just hear it in his voice. And at the 43-second mark, there's this beautiful moment when the music just, like, fades for a brief second. But pretty much all you hear is Yesung and maybe, like, the drums in the background a little. But you just hear his voice. And his voice is so unique. It's so beautiful. And he can carry a song with his voice alone. Like, he really doesn't need any of this instrumentation. He doesn't need all of this sort of, like, sound around him, because his voice is the true music. And he is just gorgeous. And the way he can carry notes, whew, beautiful. And then when the chorus hits, like, it really struck me the first time I heard this song, because I mean, I know he can sing. We all know he can sing. But still, like, for this album especially, up until now, the last 3 songs, he hasn't used his voice too much. Like, it's been very even, it's been, you know, pretty low, nothing belting out, nothing major. So, like, for this song, he uses his voice, and it's such a breath of fresh air, and I'm just like, yes, Yesung, sing it, let's go. And this one line, I love this one line. So he says, in our own breathtaking world, like using it to describe like him and the other person and where they are right now, up in the clouds as he describes it. But like, that's how you feel. Like when you're first in love, and this is a definite like puppy love kind of a moment. This isn't hibernation. This is now, we're at the beginning of our relationship. We're so new to each other. We love each other. And he is just so excited and so happy. And when you're first in love, I mean, and it can be like this, you know, you've been dating for 5 years. I mean, if you're truly with the right person, you're going to feel like this all the time. But when you're first in love, you just feel like it's you and that person, and there is no one else. Like, you feel it so strongly, and you're so excited about it, and you're so happy. And so I just love that he describes it in that way, in our own breathtaking world, because that's how you feel. You're just like, this is just us. It's just you and me here, and it is the best thing that's ever happened in my life. So he just really hits this emotion like right on the head. And then the one thing that I just is constant throughout the whole song, and I love, is the drums. Which the other songs, I mean, it's in the background, you know it is, but it's not really the main part of the song. But for this song, the drums and his voice are the 2 instruments that are most important. And the drums really keep the beat going and sort of keep the mood up. And so, like, I don't know, this whole song just really does it for me, and I love this song, and it's easily my favorite on the album. The next song is called At the Time, and this features Kyohyun, also from Super Junior, and this song is sort of that time when the breakup is done and you've moved on. You still have some feelings, but you pretty much, for the most part, moved on. And there's a line that says, I'm in a familiar reality without you now. So like, you're used to being alone now. You're used to, not having anyone to come home to or to talk to or, share inside jokes with. So it's kind of, maybe not a happy time, but you're fine for the most part. You're not in agony. You're not brokenhearted, but you're not exactly like back to your normal self yet. And this song, while the other ones were mostly like instrumentation, very instrument based, and lots of music going on around Yesung's voice, this one is very toned down, and it's just mostly like the piano, and like maybe a little acoustic guitar, but mostly piano and Yesung's voice, which is nice because, again, just his voice alone is really like all we need. And so when I first heard this song, I didn't know, just because like I didn't read the album, and I didn't like know that there were any features on it. And so when I first heard this song, I was listening and I was like, oh wow, Yesung, you're doing a great job. And then this voice came in and just changed, and I didn't even know there was a feature on this song. But when I heard the voice, immediately I was like, our baby? Like, our maknae? Kyohyun? Like, I was so happy, and I was, because Kyohyun was like my very first Super Junior solo person that I like really loved, really got into. I love all of his albums. I have a huge ass poster hanging here of him, and so like I was like, oh my gosh, like he's here with Yesung, who I also love. So it was a great matchup. But Kyohyun is also this other side of sort of like your feelings in the song. So while Yesung is saying like, oh, I've moved on and I'm getting to a better place, Kyohyun is sort of the conscious part of your mind, just in the very back, that's going like, but what if? Like, what if I had still went after you? What if I had actually tried to maybe fight a little harder? What if, you know, like, what if? And he says, I dreamt of finding you again, and maybe, you know, like talking to her, or, you know, discussing, maybe we could change things, maybe we could do this over. But it's very brief. His part is not very long, and it's almost just kind of like a thought. It's very, very fast and fleeting, and it's, you know, it's there and it's gone. So that part was really interesting, and it was just, it added this little piece of depth to the lyrics and to the whole feeling and message behind the song. And then at the end, you had both of them singing together, and I was just like, what more do you need in life? Like, Yesung and Kyohyun, like, doing their thing. Just made me so happy. And their voices matched really well together, which is interesting because they both, like, Kyohyun has a higher voice, and sometimes it's like a little nasally, and Yesung is not as nasally as him. So I don't know, I wouldn't think that they would go together very well, but they did. So it was just a nice surprise, and I love this matchup. I hope they do more songs in the future together. And last but definitely not least, there is So Close Yet So Far. So, my gosh, this song, I think this one is the deepest and the richest song of them all. This song, he's talking about, like, I don't know, like, this boy, he is worrying. Like, he wants to tell this person that he loves them, and he wants to get it out there, and he wants to show his true feelings and emotions, but he's afraid that once he does, everything that could go wrong is gonna go wrong, and they're gonna ultimately break up. And he's very, like, he's thinking before he's feeling, and he's just like, okay, if I say I love you, then what if I make you cry? Or what if I hurt you? Or what if I, you know, what if something happens and then you don't love me back, or you don't like me anymore, or we soon break up, or we hate each other? And so he's just like going through all these emotions. I mean, like, he is so sad, and he's just sad that he has to keep this bottled inside. But at the same time, he's happy that he's come to this realization that he loves her, and he wants to tell her that he loves her. And then he's afraid because he's just like really just looking way too ahead in the future, and he's like, oh my gosh, what if? Like, he is just really stressing right now. He even is so melodramatic as to say, if I have to pay the price for my happiness, I'll have to do it with my tears. Well, okay then, Yesung. Wow. So, like, this is a man that is just in turmoil right now, and just his inner being is just so it's just squeezing and sort of constricting him, and he wants to say what he's feeling, but he just can't. Another part of him is also afraid because he feels like he's not worthy of her. He says, it feels like I shouldn't hold someone who is as clean as you. And I don't know what that exactly means, the clean part, but just someone maybe as pure as her, as, you know, light as her. And he just feels like he is not worthy of her. Like, he doesn't deserve her. He doesn't deserve this position that he has to be with her. And you can really hear, like, all the frustration, all the emotion that he has just been keeping in at 3 minutes and 4 seconds. He hits this climax that is just, whoo, it's just so nice. And then the sort of rasp and desperation in his voice really shows us, like, he is so frustrated and he just wants to get this out, but he absolutely cannot, and his mind is taking over everything that he's feeling right now. And while he wants to say he loves her, he can't. And then the very last lines are so heartbreaking. He says, I love you, and I want to take those words out of my mouth, but they settle into my body. So each time he breathes, it hurts. Like, saddest lyrics of the year award. Sorry, Jonghyun, you tried, but Yesung takes this one. Like, Oh my gosh, when I read that, like, I wanted to cry for this boy. I don't know if he's really gone through these things. I don't know if he's felt these things. I hope he hasn't, because that would just be really sad. But if he has, I wouldn't doubt it based on these lyrics and just based on the way that he's singing it and the way he's conveying all of this emotion, because he does it so well. And in all of these songs, he really conveys the perfect emotion for the song and what he's talking about. And that's just the greatness of Yesung and how well he can control his voice and really like twist it or bend it, or, you know, sing higher, lower, deeper, quieter, louder. Like, he can just do it all, and he knows how to use his voice to speak. Even if, you know, he's saying one thing, he might be using his voice to say a completely different thing. So like, he has such control over his voice, and I love him so much. Overall, this album was so good. And I mean, if I'm doing an album review of an album, then you can probably bet that I was in love with the album, and I listened to it multiple times, and I just couldn't get enough of it. Because album reviews, for me, I do them because I want to get deeper into the album because I enjoyed it that much. So I love this album, and this song in particular, So Close Yet So Far, is just, it's a sad ending to the album, but it's very deep and just very, very good to end on. And I like this album. It didn't go in order or anything, but it was almost like you were going through different stages of love, which I like that. Like, it's interesting that he decided to make each song about, you know, a significant other, but you're in a different part of that relationship. So I mean, we went through it all. I don't like albums that are just kind of one note or one emotion, or, you know, just kind of flat, which a lot of K-pop, especially boy bands and girl groups, like, that's kind of what the albums tend to be. Usually it's solo artists that really get into like deeper meanings and deeper emotions than just happy, sad, or, you know, like they get a little deeper into it. And Yesung didn't disappoint, so I love this. In the comments down below, tell me your thoughts and opinions on this album. Tell me what your favorite song in the album was, and like this video, subscribe, follow me on Tumblr and Twitter, those are down below. And thanks for watching CUKpop Today, and have a good day.